A warm welcome to each one of you. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. On behalf of Toastmasters for Professional, I welcome you all. My name is Shihaz, and I'll be your sergeant at arms for this meeting. Before we get ahead with our meet, I would just like to remind our Toastmaster and guests of few rules that we need to adhere so that we can have a smooth meet today. Please be on mute if you are not talking. Please turn on your camera and encourage our speakers. But for any reason, if you have to move out, please switch off your camera. This will avoid distraction for our speakers. We highly recommend you to rename yourself with the Toastmasters name and your role that you're playing. And if you are a guest, just put guest and space with your name so that we can address you as needed in our meet today. I'm sure you are looking for a great meet today. Let's get started by inviting our presiding officer, our president of our club, Toastmaster Catherine, to the podium. Toastmaster Catherine, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shihaz, for inviting us to the meeting and giving us such a warm welcome. Welcome, Toastmasters and guests, to Toastmasters for Professionals. I hope that you are well and your families are well. My morning is a great one because I always get up with a very high level of energy. So if you notice that I'm extremely excited, this is me. We are having a wonderful meeting today, and today we're talking about something that's pertinent to our hearts, and it is the theme, men's mental health. I'm so glad that I'm at this meeting because just a few weeks ago, 2 men in my community died by suicide. They were successful men. They were prominent men. They served my country, Uganda, well. They were brilliant. They were amazing. But the hearts of their families broke to pieces because they were struggling mentally. I do understand greatly the challenges that all of us experience mentally. But to talk about men's mental health has become preeminent this month of June, as it is the month for mental health, men's mental health. And as we start this meeting today, we are privileged to have among us the area director, D'Marie Shy-King. Thank you for joining us. You are a club member, but in your capacity as area director, I would like to thank you for joining the meeting. There is none other than one person who serves this club diligently that becomes our Toastmaster for the day. Toastmaster Guillermo James, I am so privileged that I got a chance to meet you physically when I visited the US a few months ago. And so you are the one taking us today with the theme of men's mental health. I would like to welcome Toastmaster Guillermo. Please give a warm welcome to Toastmaster Guillermo as he takes us on to the meeting. Welcome.
Thank you, Catherine, for that introduction. I'm also glad I got to meet you. Welcome everyone to this meeting of Toastmasters for Professionals. Today, for our theme, we have men's mental health. As a man, this theme matters to me, obviously, because throughout my life, I've had insecurities, anxiety, depression, I think like everyone else to some extent. I think I've overcome most of it, thankfully, through various mechanisms like exercise and meditation. But I don't think anyone ever gets fully through it. No one has a perfect mental health. And I want to compare mental health to physical health. Everyone has a scar or a vitamin deficiency or something. None of us have perfect physical health, and I don't think any of us have a perfect mental health either. So I encourage everyone, just like you constantly monitor your physical health, also monitor your mental health. And while for today's meeting, we have our timer, Rajat Gupta. Please explain your role to the meeting. I give you the stage.
Thank you, James. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, good morning, good evening, fellow Toastmasters. So today I will be playing the role of timer, and I'll note down all the timing for our keynote speaker, then following with our speakers, and then for the evaluation of the speeches. Our keynote speeches is will last for 15 minutes, followed by 5 minutes for question and answer. Then each speeches has 5 to 7 minutes, and then their evolution will be followed for 2 to 3 minutes. And for the timing, I will be is using Zoom app, where you will get the notification if for as for the keynote speaker it will be for 13 minutes, and then 14 minutes, and then 15 minutes to so that the timing has ended, and you have to wrap up now within 30 seconds of grace period. And the same goes for speeches for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and 7 minutes. And for evaluation purpose, it will be same for a 2 minute, 2 minute 30 second, and 3 minutes. That will be my role. Over to you, to Toastmaster Day, Cleveland James.
Thank you, Rajat, for that explanation of the timer role.
And James, one thing I would like to clear off here, where I need to stop this speaker that you were mentioning in Zoom timer app.
Oh, yes. By speaker, I mean the little the
In
speak.
timer, there is the alarm when timer ends. Uh, that is the thing you were telling. Alarm when the timer ends.
Yes, turn off the alarm, please, so that the sound doesn't interrupt the speakers.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you, Rajat, for that explanation. Now, first thing on our agenda today, we have D'Marie Shy-King's keynote speech. I've had the privilege of listening to her many times on topics that I really care about. I don't know how she keeps doing it, but thank you. Today we have that privilege again, once again. So let's listen to her and her keynote. Join me in welcoming Toastmaster D'Marie Shy-King in her keynote speech, Can You See Me? I give you the stage. Oh, you're on mute.
Can't you see me? Don't you hear me? I know you can't be me. I don't really want you to be. This experience in my life is unique and intended just for me. Fellow Toastmasters, esteemed guests, have you ever found yourself feeling that you were misunderstood, that you weren't seen, that you weren't heard? The stanza that I just recited is from an original poem entitled Facade, Fake, Not Real. There are times when we have to put on a face, and you may feel that you're being a fake, not real. Tonight, we're going to talk about those things that will help to enhance a more normal and healthy men's mental health. But let me tell you how we got to Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. President Bill Clinton in 1994 signed the bill in the United States designating the month of June as Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Now think about that. What happened before 1994? Did we not observe that? Did we not feel there was a need? The one thing that I'm thankful for is that it was signed into law before COVID hit, because COVID changed everything. Everything was changed at that point. Our mental health took a beating. There were more reports of 911 and 988 calls during and after COVID than there ever had been. So our mental health suffered. But I want to ask you to do three
ஆனா நல்லா
things.
பெருசு நல்ல ருசியா இருக்கு இந்த இடியாப்ப கரட்டை நல்லா இல்ல சார்
I want to ask you to do three things for me. Remember these three things. 988 is the mental health suicide crisis hotline. 911 is your physical or medical hotline, but it can also get you to the police department so that if you need assistance, you have that assistance. But there is something else that's very important as it relates to mental health. If you notice that someone is giving away prized possessions, maybe a painting or clothing, and just said, oh, I'm tired of that old thing, that person is acting withdrawn, that person has stopped being among friends and going places, and that person may have even stopped eating. There is a question that you must ask. It's crucial that you ask this question. It's one of the most difficult questions that you will ever have to ask someone, because typically you'll be asking your loved one, a family member, or a coworker. And what you must say is, are you considering committing suicide? Are you considering committing suicide? Research shows that just by asking that question, you may snap that person back to reality. They may have been planning something and not really thinking it through. But by you asking that question, all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, what am I doing? Where is my mindset? But let me tell you something else that has happened to men's mental health. Society has played and placed men in a unique position. They have to be strong. They have to think of themselves as macho. They think that they cannot be emotional. I'm not going to have the guys talking about me at the neighborhood diner or wherever. I'm not going to have my coworkers say he's weak. There is a time when all of us need to be vulnerable. We need to express our emotions, and we need to have a support network to allow us to make that happen. So I encourage you, if you don't have that support network, it would behoove you to begin to think about that. But something else happened when I got ready to prepare for this presentation tonight. The title is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And anytime I do a presentation, I always like to engage and resonate with the audience. But the first thing I have to tell you, in case you didn't know, I'm not a man. So therein lies a huge area where I cannot resonate. I am not a man. But I was asked to talk about Men's Mental Health Month in a way that would resonate with all the guys in the room. And what I chose to do is to look up and share with you mental health statements by some famous men that you would know. And the first statement I'm going to read to you is, when we struggle as men with mental health issues, we need to treat them the same as we do the flu or a broken arm. Our mental wellness deserves us calling a doctor. President Barack Obama. That was a statement that he coined. Another statement, the heart of a man is very much like the sea. It has tides and it has depths, but it also has its pearls. Vincent van Gogh, the noted artist. Another statement that I would like to read, nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States. These are statements by men shared to help you understand your mental well-being and what to look for when you are considering keeping your mental well-being at a position and in a place where you can function at your optimal. Because there are things such as burnout, dual diagnosis, eating disorders, and stress. that can all change the diagnosis and the outlook for your mental well-being. I could stand here and share sayings with you, tell you what I know about mental well-being and mental health. As all of you know, my platform is domestic violence, and part of the core problem in domestic violence stems back to mental wellness. There is a mental health component that can be seen moving through domestic violence because the family becomes dysfunctional. But rather than me stand here and engage you as I will, I want to share with you, or have shared with all of us, a personal testimonial that will shake you to your core. It's a very poignant story. And I asked my friend and Sarah to come and share with you a story that I'm sure you will not be able to forget. I'd like to present to you Ladidra Penn, who is an HR manager at an IT firm in Memphis, Tennessee. Ladidra is going to share with you a 3 to 4 minute account of a situation that changed her life forever. Ladidra.
Thank you. Thank you, D'Marie, for asking me to come. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am Ladidra Penn, and I reside here in Memphis, Tennessee. I am a suicide loss survivor of 10 years. April 14, 2014 changed my life forever. I lost my only son, 18 years old. He was a sophomore at University of Memphis, an honor student. And April 14th, 2014 at 4 p.m., my father set the motions in order that day. He suffered from Parkinson at that time, and he had a med alert on. He pressed 1, and the med alert called me because his nurse didn't leave the remote control near him so he could watch Judge Judy at 4 p.m. So I said, Daddy, I'm not at home, but can you have Grant come over? I said, if he comes home, because Grant stayed on campus. If he comes on after class, sure. I called Grant as the time got closer, and Grant didn't answer the phone. I called my mother and I said, hey, did Grant happen to stop at home? And she said, yes, he's upstairs. Within 30, I said, could you let him know that he needs to go over to Granddaddy's house and pass him the remote control? And she said, sure, no problem. So 30 minutes later, she gives me a call back, and she says in a very calm voice, Grant needs help. Now, my mother is the first Black female officer hired here in Memphis. And so Grant, I said to her, what do you mean he needs help? She said, I need you to call 911. She said in a very monotone voice. And so I said, okay. And so immediately I called 911 and I tried to talk to her. And I said, well, what's wrong? She said, just tell them to come as fast as they can. And she said, call me back to tell me to be at the front door, because she was upstairs. And I said, okay. And so when I did that, and by the time my mother, some kind of way, it had gotten, by her being the first female police officer, that it was something that happened to her. So it was all these police cars and everything is coming, and I'm 25 miles away. So a friend of mine drives me back home to Memphis from my job, and all these police cars are there. And that's when I learned that Grant had died by suicide. Grant used her gun, and my mother bent down and picked the gun up. So by her doing that, it prolonged everything, where homicide detectives had to come out because they had to make sure there wasn't no foul play. At first, the call went through as it went through a chain of different phone calls, because I was out of the state of Tennessee, that they thought she had gotten shot. So that's why it was so many police cars and so many people coming with who she is. That's what they thought. And all I can remember, I had to remember on that 25 mile drive back home, I asked the paramedic, is he gone? And she said, yes. And at that moment, at that very pivotal moment, my life changed. I didn't know details. I didn't know how. I didn't even know the word suicide wasn't even in my head at that point. I wanted to see her because she was in her 70s, and I made sure I was able to see her. And once I saw her, I was good. They separated us and went through the same procedures like you see on television. of everything that happens in a time period like that. The day after, I realized I was still hungry. I realized the sun was still going to shine. I realized all the television shows are still going to come on. And I had to decide at that point, what are you going to do with this? This is not by accident. What are you going to do with this information? At that point, I decided I wasn't going to go crazy. I wasn't going to take my life. I was going to embrace this and do everything I possibly can to figure out what is this going to be in my life now. So that was 10 years ago. I am a suicide loss survivor 10 years in. And the why this is so important to me is because sometimes we forget. And I know you heard me say that he was a sophomore, and I know you saying, oh, he was just a teen, he was going through it. No, Grant didn't leave me a note. Grant didn't owe me a note. Grant made his decision based off of whatever his decision was. That this happened on a Monday. Grant was being inducted to the Honor Society that Wednesday. Grant, from his literature class, had bought a ticket to go to a play that Friday. And I'm okay with that. Sometimes the human side, when you first get into this, dealing with suicide, you want answers because that's what the human wants. We want to hold on to something tangible. We want to hold on to why did this happen? But with me standing here and now an advocate for mental health, and as you can see, like D'Marie, I am not a man, but I did birth a man into this world. And so even though you might say, oh, he was 18, he was this, no, he still was a young man. And something in him to where he had to make the decision that this was his only way out. And that's fine. And I receive that, and I don't spend my energy trying to figure out that. What I do with it now is to able to come and speak to people about the importance of mental health. And especially this month, we have to be conscious of mental health and suicide because sometimes it goes so unnoticed, and we have to bring awareness. We have to break the silence and support men. As D'Marie said, sometimes that masculinity where society has put them in a box and expect them to act and move a certain way. We have to support and help them break the silence. We have to let them know it's okay to express your emotional. It does not mean a sign of weakness. It's okay to express what's going on, and also be a support system for them and be able to research resources for them. So I am here as an example on this side of suicide, my only son, Grant Avon Penn Brown, and I am here to salute and be an advocate for men's health. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
So can you imagine? Can you imagine? And I'm pausing so that it will sink in. Can you even imagine having to find and muster up the courage to continue and to be an advocate for other men? I thought that I could talk all night, but nothing that I would say would resonate with you the way Ladidra's story did. Her account, her sharing of what happened in her life. The floor is now open for questions. There were a number of other things that I wanted to share, like ways to make yourself better, to keep enhancing your mental health. And I will name 4, and it's the acronym DOSE. And these are the happy hormones: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. The body conjures those chemicals up automatically. And the way we do that is by our diet, exercising, even walking, meditation, and yoga. The body manufactures hormones that help to keep our moods at a stable point and enhance our self-esteem, our feelings about ourselves. I will pause now for questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
We see an increasing number of suicide cases where the person is actually fine. We have no indication whatsoever that that person was going to commit suicide. Could you just give us some insight on that one? How do we figure this out, or give me some insight, please?
So I mentioned a number of small clues or cues that we should be looking at. We may not have caught those cues as they were happening, but statistics and research shows that a person will withdraw. They'll start giving away things that they normally consider to be very important to them. They will stop communicating with people that they normally communicated with and enjoyed, and they will just simply withdraw, and they will appear depressed. That's the classic symptom. But let me tell you about human nature. There is nothing classic about human nature. Every instance, everything that happens to us is based on who we are and where we are at that time. Sometimes it happens in an instant. There have been these jokes of death by suicide by car. Somebody will step out in front of a car and just get hit. We don't know why they did that. But I can tell you from my 25 years experience in the field of psychiatric services, something snapped. Something snapped. And when it did, and when it does, that person is going to react. And sometimes it results in suicide.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more questions? Yes.
This is more for our guest, Marie. How do you want people to approach you, or do you want people to approach you to talk about your son or the situation at all? I've got another friend, his son died by suicide, and I don't know to bring questions up or ask or just avoid it altogether. What, from your perspective, what is the best way to talk with someone who's been in that situation?
It is always, and that's a great question. I always say, and you know, we all have to deal with death at some point, and somebody say, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Just do whatever you're going to do that you feel is right to do. But for question, it depends on where they are in their journey. I talk about it freely because I am at my grieving, where I am at my level in grieving. I knew this didn't happen to me by fault, that I knew I had to do something with it. I had to be the one who pushed the button and say, Grant didn't check all the boxes. He wasn't depressed. He wasn't on drugs, none of those things. And so I have to bring that conversation. So I would ask them, just like you just said, are you okay to talk about it? Are you willing to talk about it? And some people can, and some people can't. And by you asking that, that is just so respectful, because so many people wanted to know what was wrong with Grant. What happened? Was he depressed? Was he this? Was he on drugs? Was he this? And I'm like, no, none of those things. And so and then I had to step back and say, nobody don't know how to deal with this. They don't know. Suicide has been locked up in the closet for so long. So nobody knows what to say. And my support team wanted to be there for me and just didn't know. So just like you did, Chris, just like you said, is it okay for me to ask you this question? Can we talk about it? Are you at a point where you can talk about it? Because I promise you, they're going to feel so much better to have somebody reach out. Because when you reach in, it keeps us from having to reach out. So please reach out to that person and just say, I'm here to listen, but are you okay to talk about it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, may I ask a question?
Yes, Dati.
I was just wanting to know that if you ask someone about suicide, does it put the idea in their head?
You know what? That is the universal question. That's what everybody has always said. Why would I ask them, are they thinking about committing suicide? I'm here to tell you that sometimes people are on the brink of doing something that they aren't even aware of themselves. You ask the question to bring them back to a reality check. Sometimes by asking the question, they say, oh my goodness, no, am I looking, does it look like I'm thinking about that? Because if a person isn't thinking about suicide and doesn't want to commit, you can't suggest that idea for them. That's an internal thing because of that person's mindset and where they are. Now, I do know that the bullying and all this stuff on social media of teenagers and young kids, we do have accounts of where they have driven young people to commit a heinous act, but that's a whole different ballgame. On a normal situation, if you ask someone, are you considering committing suicide? It's because you've observed things that tell you they're going to do that or they're thinking about it anyway. And you simply want them to take a deep look at where they are. That's a great question.
Hi, good day. Good evening to all Toastmasters and guests. I apologize, I did come in a bit late, but I just wanted to highlight something that I have found. I am a medical doctor by practice, and I've had two more elderly gentlemen fall in that case where I told them as far as I am concerned, they were trying to commit suicide by chronic disease. And both of them had situations. One, their 26-year-old daughter was killed while she was driving. A truck went over the highway and ended up killing the daughter. And the other gentleman, his 26-year-old as well, son, died while being treated at a psychiatric hospital, and he committed suicide there. And I had to ask, what cued me into it was that they had chronic illnesses that they deliberately weren't treating. Kind of took a hands up in the air, was coming with blood sugars that should be 120 and coming with 500 and having no issues, and blood pressure is ridiculously high, and quite frankly saying, you know, nothing they do can treat it. And until I started asking the questions, and one of the cases, I had to ask the wife outside of it and tell them, listen, every time I treat you all, you're the nicest persons in front of me, but I get a brick wall, and I'm not sure why. And that's how I got this story. And so oftentimes risk-taking behaviors, because they may be a little bit too shy to take a poison or hang themselves, but they stop taking care of themselves with the hope that they will die. And that's something that you also need to pay attention to. And when behaviors don't seem in keeping with what should be reasonable, that may be a sign of depression, and that they really are basically trying to commit suicide and allowing things to happen. And I've had another patient who was just extremely angry as an elderly gentleman, because of the life he's living now and being afraid of walking outside. And in my office, he would say, I am just so angry. None of my family understand what is going on, but I could just cap out, and if I die today, it's not going to be an issue. And so that is a little bit trickier in terms of managing and monitoring and picking up that this person is at risk. That's an older person, I have found that may be the way they go. So that is something also to pay attention to in terms of our loved ones and friends and persons around us. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda.
I would like to just
Dr.
give an
Mary.
answer. I would like to give an answer to Jayati's question. In the Asian culture, no doubt, I totally agree. I'm in mental health as well. We do ask that question, are you contemplating suicide? But in the Asian context, that is a leading question. And we don't want to put that ideation into the mind of that patient. So what we do, Jayati, we can follow this one if you want. You can ask questions like, what do you think about life? What do you intend to do in the future? Do you have any plans for your future? Now, from their answers, you would be able to get, some idea of where they're going. Most of the time, they will say, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, that's your pickup point, right? Yeah, we have a different culture here. Though I totally understand. I know in psychiatry, this is what they say, ask the question directly. But we can't do that. Yeah, thank you.
And that's really worth stating, because I have close connections with a lady from Japan. Their lifestyle is totally different from ours. They would never be able to ask that question of one another. They can't even say, I love you. She shared that with me. I was shocked. So they certainly couldn't ask, are you thinking of committing suicide? Let me ask Treka to ask her question, and then we'll go to you, Ayate.
Hi, thank you very much. My brother also committed suicide. He was struggling with alcoholism, and he actually was a marathon runner at the same time. I don't know how, but you know, that risk taking, like running 2 marathons in one weekend kind of a thing. But anyway, what I want to say too is that a quote that really helps me is that suicide is a permanent problem to a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And so that really helps me think about like how can we get some help, and what are the snap decisions that we're making that make no sense. They also, when we look at people that are in jail, you know, there's like, how long did you think about your reaction between what you did and the moment that it occurred to you to take action? It's a snap decision. And so that idea about how your life can change permanently just by not being able to monitor your emotions, that's something that's been really interesting to me personally, to be able to learn more about emotional regulation as well. So just wanted to throw that out there.
So much for that. We have time for one more question, and that was Jayata.
I think it's Rajat.
Yes, I was going to say
Rajat's
Rajat has his hand raised. Rajat?
Yes, thank you, D'Marie, for taking the question. Actually, the question is following the Teresa's response about snap decision. So sometimes, like, not in the extreme term, like I feel suicidal, but sometimes it feels that the mind stop working when you are talking to people and you are not, you feel that you are not being listened and you are continuously talking. Then you feel that in such a situation, you just hit a wall and you just don't want to go out and like do without thinking anything. In such a situation, now, from the technology point of view, I want to understand, is there a way or kind of app that you come across that works well to like know us or pinch us that no, things are not normal right now, don't make any decision right now, like if heart speed goes very up or some kind of any indication that we get with the help of technology, like you are in the space that you can suggest.
Thank you so much. So I don't think I know exactly what your question was. It sounds more like you're giving us some good advice, and I think that's very good. Have you found yourself in a situation like that?
Not exactly, but the kind of situation that I was telling you, like sometimes I felt that people are, when people don't listen, you continuously try to make them understand the situation. In such a situation, you just want to run out and do things without thinking much. So in such a situation, I just feel that I might have taken any irrational decision. So in such a case, I just want to understand, can we use any app that you have come across that help people to like know them that their body level or their hormones or their heartbeats are not normal and this is not the right time to make decisions?
So you can dial the 988 number, and these are trained professionals that man that number 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they can guide you and give you advice or suggestions as to where you need to go. Your primary care physician is the person that would be best suited to tell you what you need to be taking, because we wouldn't want you to start out on something that's adverse to what you're already on. So you want to take something that's going to blend in and work well for you, along with whatever medications or wherever you are along your medical journey, before we start telling you what app to go to, because you need someone that's there to monitor your activities. And normally the app can't do that. It will give you something to do when you go out and do it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, ooh. So you need to be able to speak to somebody that can help direct you to what you really need to be doing. And I see that Dr. Mary has her hand up, so maybe she has something that she wants to say. Oh, and Ladidra does as well.
Yeah, I wanted to share my view on this one. See, Rajat, what you're mentioning here is an anxiety, and it probably, and most likely, when you say you want to run out, it's because of anger. So what you need to do is actually get hold of a psychologist. You don't need psychiatric help at this point in time. Everybody gets angry. So you just need a psychologist. I can send you a link. You're in India, so I can send you a link to a very good psychologist in India who does online work. And also, anyone from India here who can share the helpline for mental health. I do not know what's the line, the number. In the US, it's 988. How about in India? Anybody can share that, please? Anyone knows? Jayati, you may know, I think.
No. There's no particular number as such. You have to get in touch with individuals who tackle these kinds of things.
Ah, I see. All right. Okay. In Malaysia, we have it's 999. So, and besides, we are there. So we are in touch with all of the mental health groups and people and with the mental institutions. All right, thank you. I just wanted to share that.
Ladidra.
Just very quickly, I wanted to respond to that. As support people and we're watching people, is normally when people think about suicide, it's something that they plan. 3 months after after Grant took his life, my mother just said to me, you have to mind, she's in her 70s, retired policewoman. She said to me, because her gun was kept in my closet, and it just clicked 3 months after Grant passed away, and she said, I remember telling him to turn your closet light off. He would go in your room and I could see, because her bedroom was down the hall from mine, and she could see my closet. And so what that told me was that Grant was thinking about this all the time. So usually when people are thinking about suicide, and it wasn't no depression. I mean, he showed up for school and did everything. But that one little thing, that when she told me that, that made me think that this was something that was on his mind, because he was going in my closet where I kept her gun, and she would yell to him and say, hey, turn your mother's closet light out. And it didn't resonate even to her, being a police officer, that this is what he was doing. So as people, you do have sometimes people sporadically of turn of events want to die by suicide, but usually it is planned, and sometimes they leave a message. So as people are supporting, as supporting your friends or anyone that come in contact, look at their behavior, look at what they're doing and what they're saying, what they're asking, what they're researching, what they're doing with their possessions, or what they're doing, how they're responding to you, because things that would agitate them usually go away and they're very calm. And everything is meaningful. Everything has a meaning to it, even how they engage with you. So just think about those things if you're supporting, and look at a person's behavior, because usually a person who's thinking about suicide, it is a planned event. Thank you.
And that is the conclusion of our presentation, our Q&A. I want to thank everyone for their wholehearted participation. But most of all, I want to thank Ladidra for pulling herself away from her activities and sharing her own personal testimony with us today. Thank you all so very much. And I certainly hope that we said or did something that was meaningful and that will help you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, D'Marie. Your keynote speech definitely helped a lot of people, I think. So thank you to both D'Marie and Ladidra, especially you, Ladidra, for sharing that story. I think
you,
it took.
Guillermo. Thank you.
I think it took a lot of strength, and it shows the importance of reaching out. And I think you have changed my perspective, and probably other people's perspectives, and raised awareness about this issue. So thank you for that. And I want to give my condolences to anyone that has lost people to suicide. So we definitely learned a lot about that. Next in our agenda, we have our prepared speeches. So for our first speaker, we have Ihuoma Achara. I invite her evaluator, Catherine Apondo, to introduce her. And I give you the stage.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Guillermo. Toastmaster Ihuoma Achara is from Surulere Toastmasters Club, Nigeria. I am privileged to be your evaluator. You are attempting your leadership development path, level 2, project 2. And this is the title of your speech. I hope I'll get it right. Please give me a moment. The title of your speech is Empower, Embrace, Empower, and Evolve. Ihuoma, I look forward to hearing the main purpose of your speech, which is for us to know your leadership style or styles, to understand from your speech what you make of your styles. We're not expecting a learning about leadership styles, but we just want to hear from your speech how these styles come out. I will also be looking out for the tenets of a great speech, a great beginning, a body, and a conclusion. Your level of comfort, connection with the audience, I expect nothing but the best from you. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Ihuama Achara, I give you the stage. Please go ahead.
Homer, you're muted. Please start again. You're muted.
No, we're not hearing you.
If you have some technical difficulties at the moment, I think let's maybe switch the order of the speeches, and let's go with our unless you got it to work, the microphone, does it work now? I don't think so. Oh, you have a headset.
Give her a minute. Yeah.
Still no.
Okay, I think let's move on to our second speaker, and meanwhile, please see if you have any solutions to the microphone. So for our second speaker, we have Toastmaster Dr. Stephen Bowie. So I ask that Toastmaster Jayati Datta please introduce your speaker. Oh, and you're on mute.
So sorry. Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. My speaker is speaking from the path Innovative Planning, Level 3 elective, Connect with Storytelling. This project addresses storytelling techniques and descriptive skills to help make every speech relatable and interesting. The title of the speaker's speech is Washers to Winners. I wish the speaker all the very best. Over to you, Toastmaster D.
Good day, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished masters, and honored guests. Raise your hand if you have seen the movie The Pursuit of Happiness by Will Smith. Anybody have seen that movie? That's one of my favorite movies. It's about a character. This is a true life story. True life story of Chris Gardner, who had started with nothing. And he had to work jobs like being a dishwasher and being a homeless, but he never gave up on his dream. He worked hard despite all the challenges, and he dedicated himself with relentless spirit. In the end, he became a multimillionaire. He became a very successful person. Today, I would like to share with you my journey with my son over the weekend of father and son retreat. Now, how we started out with this journey is I want to teach my son the skill to be successful as a man in life, no matter what happened, no matter what life throw at you. And the story begins with us for the first time learning how to play washboard. We are totally newbie. We're the first time that we're actually learning how to do this. And there are people at the camp have been doing this for years, and they're very good at it. But we enter the contest, the tournament, and for those that are not aware of what is washerboard game is similar to cornhole. If you have seen it before, the objective of the game is the two teams trying to throw a bag into different holes and winning points on the other team cornhole. And here we use the washers instead of the bags. So our story is similar to Chris Gardner's story of beginning as a newbie, and just like him being a washer, we were the newbie, the lowest of the low, and we entered the game with double elimination. And what that means is if you lose 2 games in a row, or just lose 2 games, and you will be eliminated. So we started out the first game learning how to play while we were playing it, and we lost horribly. The score to win, you have to reach a score of 21, and they beat us something like 21-5, and we almost got a blowout as well. So the second game started. My son was irritated. He was discouraged, and we were down 18-6. He was ready to give up. So he said, "Daddy, I don't want to play anymore." I said, "Okay, but we have to finish this game because it's not fair for the other team if they win by forfeit. That's not good sportsmanship." And he started crying. He said, "There's no way we can win. We're terrible. We can't do this." And I said, "You're right. Maybe that's the case. But I have to play because even if I lose, I want to lose gracefully." So he actually cried and he walked away. And I said, "That's fine. I will finish the game." And I'm losing and continue to lose. Almost lost the game. He saw how much I struggled. He actually came back and said, "I want us to help." I was so happy, not because he came back and played. It's because that he recognized that he wanted to help somebody that is in need. And for some miraculous reasons, he was throwing and getting the highest score in the highest score holes. And we won that game. And he was so excited. And he said, "Hey, I want to play this. This is a lot of fun." And we continue on to play the next 11 games in a row. We struggled a lot. And there were points that we were ready to lose. And we were happy on our journey to be newbies to get to where we were. But we persevered. And we get to the end, winning the next 11 games, facing the reigning champion from last year. We were nervous. We were sweating. But I can see the look in my son's eye. He was never gonna give up because he is in it, and he realized that if we don't play, we don't have a chance to win. So at that point, we feel like the stake is high. We have to give it all. And we did. And we lost just by 2 points. Now, what did I learn from this? As the second place winner, what I learned is, and what I see my son learn is how he had grown and how he learned his resilience from me setting example. And today we talk about men's health. And I see how important it is for men to be resilient no matter what life throws at us. And I want him to be prepared for that. And true story, made up story cannot be as good as something that just happened to us here. And these are the moments that I know I would cherish for life. Not because we won this game or we won all the way to the championship, but because I see the growth in him. I see the resiliency in him. And this is the stepping stone of me teaching him and my son learning to be resilient, to be determined. And I see these are recipe for success. And I hope that we all can learn from something like this, and so that we can be more resilient, that we can handle anything that life throw at us, because life sometimes is not fair. Life sometimes is tough. But just being resilient, just be in the moment, we can overcome anything. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dr. Bui. I really liked your speech, and the movie In the Pursuit of Happiness does remind me of the story that you just told us. So it warmed my heart, and it inspired me. Hopefully we can play that game someday if we meet each other. Now, for our first speaker, Toastmaster Ihuoma Achara, do you want to try your microphone again to see if it works? I don't hear anything, unfortunately, but you have one more try because we have another speaker. So I recommend that you restart your PC, or that if you look, see if you have like an on or off switch in your microphone. Look for things like that. Let's go to our third speaker, Teresa Sabagodo. I ask that her evaluator, distinguished Toastmaster Chris Poole, introduces her. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Teresa is working on Strategic Relationships Level 1 Project Feedback and Evaluation. This is the first of 3 requirements to complete the project. As her evaluator, I will note if any of the slides that she's showing, if they can or should be refined, as well as listen to the speech's structure to ensure a smooth flow. As I pay attention, I'll note any potential confusion in the words in the slides and suggest edits and additions. In her captivating TEDx talk, Why You Should Regularly Talk with Strangers, Teresa shares a remarkable habit. She meets an average of 3 new people every day. Why? Because the company you keep profoundly influences your path. Strategic relationship building isn't just a skill, it's an art form. Today, Teresa will share insights on strategic relationship building, not as a secret formula, but as a thoughtful approach to who we meet and how those interactions can enrich our lives and careers. Let's explore the transformative power of networking enriched by meaningful connections. Let's discover how networking is more than just a tool for career advancement. It is a gateway to genuine relationships and a deeper understanding of the world around us. Let's welcome Tracy Sabagodo and the Art of Strategic Relationships.
Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it. So the art of strategic relationships. Before I get started, I want to double click on this idea about the art part of strategic relationships. Art, as I'm defining it, is a skill that someone can learn through experience or study. That means that it's a skill that we can acquire. And so I want you to think carefully about, who do you know Who's in your network? Who are the people who are influencing you? Oh, sorry. And so in your network and the orbit that you have, who are the people who are actually touching your life? And another question, who actually knows you? Who knows you well? Who knows you at a deeper level? I know for me, my father, I'm permanently 16 years old in his mind. He doesn't know the adult version of me. He hasn't actually gotten to know me all that well as an adult, and we took some time to discover that. So how do the people in your life know you? Are they from college? Are they from the neighborhood? Are they people that you used to work with? How do the people that touch your lives know you, and do they need an update? What exactly do they know about you? Do they know your dreams? Do you know they know what goals you've got on deck and what you're trying to accomplish? How can they help you if they don't know what you're trying to do? So think about it. All of the people that you know, who knows what your dreams are and who can add fuel to your fire? In business, they have a term. It's called the SWOT analysis. And this is where we take a look at the organization and evaluate it from the strengths of the organization, the opportunities, the weaknesses, and the threats. And I look at this in my own network. I have a friend of mine who, when she left her corporate job, she hired somebody to help her do this. They downloaded her entire LinkedIn contacts and went through each person and said, is this person a strength? Could they possibly provide you an opportunity? Are they a weakness? Are they somebody that doesn't follow through on what, would you ever refer business to them? Or are they a threat? Are they a competition from where you're trying to go? My friend paid $100,000 to have somebody help her go through her network like this. But I think it's a really important skill set to think about, especially where are the strengths? Who are the people who have skills and the ability to help you where you want to go? My friend Chris is here helping me with my own speaker journey. And where are the opportunities? It's a really valuable exercise when you take a look at your network and look at it from a different lens. Who are the people who can add fuel to your fire, and what is the network then, your support base? What is it composed of? I love this quote by an author. Her name is Gail Porter, and she says, your ability to build a network of authentic and professional relationships, not your financial capital, is the most important asset in your portfolio. It's the people. The people are the ones that are going to get you through the rough times. And the people are going to create opportunities for you as well. So think about it. This is your assets. How do we take care of them? Many people plan their vacations and their and their next car more than they think about the people that are adding value to their life. Are they an asset or are they a liability? I don't know, but it's worth taking a look and seeing how can I acquire more assets, more people that add value to your life? I really like to look at case studies and things that go really well. And this is, they affectionately are known in Silicon Valley as the PayPal Mafia. These folks were the original people working at PayPal, and they made a decision that we're going to create a really great culture. We're going to surround ourselves with the best people possible, and we're going to challenge each other to become something better than we ever dared to dream possible. And they made history. At the time, they sold the company for $1.2 billion, and they changed the way that Silicon Valley operates based on these guys. And, you know, I think about that, about who are we surrounding ourselves with, who's challenging us, but also when these guys left that organization after they got acquired, what did they go on and do? Do you ever talk to people that you used to work with and tap into them and say, you know, hey, what are you up to these days? They might surprise you. With these guys, they went on to found some of the most iconic brands in our lifetime, from YouTube to Yelp to Kiva. LinkedIn sold for $26 billion to Microsoft. And I don't think it's an accident that these guys who all worked together and influenced each other on their journey, I don't think it's a surprise that that happened, right? So who we surround ourselves can have a big impact on the outcomes that ultimately impact the trajectory of our lives. So as I wrap up here, I want to offer you some homework. Say hello. Look at your own network. Who could you send a text to, an email, or a note on LinkedIn? Who could you reach out to today to be able to say, hey, listen, you know what? I was just thinking about you, and I love to remind people what an impact they had on me. And I also will send them an email and just say, hey, listen, I would love to just get some time on the calendar to connect and, you know, give them an update on what's happening in my life. But more importantly, I like to know what's going on in their lives. And it's such a beautiful thing. So think about your network. And I'm going to remind you of this quote one more time. Your personal and professional relationships are the most important asset in your portfolio. Reach out to your people. Thank you so much. I'll turn it back over to the Toastmaster of the day. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, Teresa, for that speech. It reminds me of a phrase that I heard a few years ago. It went something like, "You are the combination of the 5 people that you spend the most time with." So I agree with you. Watch out. You know, have some awareness of the people that surround you. So thank you very much for that message. Now, I want to see if our first speaker's mic works now. Please try to say something. Toastmaster Ihuoma Achara.
Yeah, I'm using the phone for my speaking while I'm using the laptop for the videos. I'm using both of them now. Can you hear me?
I hear you. So it works.
Okay.
Yay.
Thank you.
I did want to hear this speech, so.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you for the great introduction. In the words of Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States of America, the greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest thing. It is the one who gets people to do greatest things. Have you ever pondered the type of leadership the type of leader you are, and the impact your style has on the people you lead? While you hold on to that thought today, I invite you to embark on a trip of self and leadership discovery. The Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, good evening. Recently, I completed a questionnaire on leadership styles. And the result I got was that my dominant leadership style was that of a democratic style. Well, democratic style promotes collaboration, inclusivity, teamwork. There are other styles. We have the pace-setting that promotes high standards. Then the affiliative style that is relationship-oriented. The coaching style that is developmental. And the altruistic that is selfless or others focused. We have the bureaucratic that is rules based. And we have the autocratic, that is decisive. We have the innovative, that is creative. All of these styles have their good sides and their not so good sides. I trade your indulgence to share a story about when I was working in a corporate company in a highly regulated sector in Nigeria. I practiced the democratic style of leadership. This company had a very important project, and I was the team lead, and we were given a timeline within which to submit that report. We had teams across the three geophysical parts of the country, and we held meetings. Everybody in the team at a certain level up attended the meetings, and we took on roles and we agreed on what to do. We held meetings twice in a week, not just to have updates, not just to give updates on the task that was assigned to us, but we also wanted to check in on each of us to see how we're doing, if there are any challenges, and also to provide updates on those reports. And because everybody felt inclusive, everybody felt that they were important, the report was finished within the specific time limit, and we submitted it to management. The democratic style of leadership is not, it only works if the time given, the time frame for that project is not too short, if I put it that way. And if it only works, yes, if the team is very experienced, as members of the team are experienced, because if they were not experienced and they had to handle such an important role, because everybody's like contributing their own, based on their own skill sets, they're contributing towards that project. So it also means that they have to be skilled, they understand, they're knowledgeable. That way, the only way the democratic style will work is for people who are knowledgeable. Yeah. And each of those other leadership styles have the same issue. We have different, the ones that have their flip sides and the ones that have their positive sides. The benefits of the approach is manifold. I'm talking of the democratic style. Everybody feels important, and the leader also knows that the people that he has included in his team, or the people in his team, are important to him. They all work together as a team and they are happy. People who are, like I said earlier, the other teams, the other types of leadership have issues too. But for me, I realized that to become a better leader, I will take bits and bits from the other leadership styles and put them together to make myself a better person. Because when you look at the autocratic style of leadership, the leader is leading from the top and is directing the team members. So there's little waste of time in completing the project. We could have done a lot better in my team if we were not just waiting to agree on a specific line of action. Because when we have a democratic side, people will continue to debate and argue and waste time before they finally agree on the final line of action to be taken. Based on that, we can all embrace and empower our leadership styles and strengths and evolve where we have to do so. Thank you. I'm sorry, I also have another question to ask at the end. So it is very, very important for us to also ask ourselves, how do we envision our leadership styles, our journeys today? So I'll encourage all of us to look inwards and see what we could do better based on the other leadership styles. Thank you, the Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Ihuoma Achara. Yeah, thankfully you found a solution to the technical problem, because I don't like to miss out on any speeches. So you talked about different speaking styles, such as the democratic speaking style, and it just shows me personally how much I don't know about the art of speaking. So, but I came here to Toastmasters to learn about that, and so I learned that from you today. So thank you for your speech. And now let's move on to our table topics. This section of the meeting gives people an opportunity to practice their improvisation or impromptu speaking skills. So I call on Toastmaster Pri Yang to lead our table topics. I give you the stage.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Good morning, good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible and visible. I'm having a little bit of a bad throat pain, so please bear with my voice. If it doesn't sound feminine, it sounds like some bird sound. Sorry about that. Couldn't help. So table topics section is the second section of any Toastmasters meeting across the globe, where you will be given a topic on the spot, and you have no time to think, and you have to talk at least for 1 minute. You can go up to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, you will see the green card. At 1 minute, 30 seconds, you will see the yellow card. At 2 minutes, you will see the red card. Once you see the red card, you have 30 minutes to wrap up. So who is ready? First, I would like to call upon any Toastmasters members who are not role players, who were not speakers, to get a chance to speak in the table topics. It is all going to be aligned with today's theme, so it will be a continuing the discussions we already had. Anybody is raising their hands? Diana, are you raising your hand for table topics? Sure. So your topic is women's mental health. Women's mental health, Diana. You're on mute. Can you unmute yourself?
Table topic master. She normally writes her table topic answer. Diana, could you just share your thoughts with us in the chat? Thank you. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you. You may proceed. Priyan, you may proceed while she writes in the chat.
So should I go with the next table topic speaker?
Yes.
She is
Yes,
like,
please.
okay.
Yes.
So may I call upon the next volunteer?
I'll take oh, okay. We have a volunteer.
Chris.
Chris.
Okay. So your topic is kids' mental health. Kids' mental health, guest Chris.
Thank you so much, Madam Table Topics Master. It is, I don't think we talk very much about the children and their mental health. Their kids, what do they have to worry about? But they do have a lot to worry about. The kids have pressure. and they don't always want to share with their parents, with their brothers, with their sisters. They have bullies at school. They have pressure from teachers if they're not the teacher's pet, if they are the teacher's pet. There are so many expectations on kids these days that you don't realize what kind of pressure they are under. Schools nowadays seem to have this, at least here in the US, have this no bully policy. But it doesn't seem, to me, it doesn't seem to always work, because the school says there's no bullying, but it doesn't seem like it's helped any of the situations. We have all those mass shootings at schools from kids who are under all this pressure, and that is their release for whatever reason. I think it's difficult for kids in this day and age. There's so much pressure on them to be a part of everything, to do everything, and they don't have time to just be. They don't have time to just be a child and sit and read a book or imagine, and let them just sit and be a child. They're going to have enough pressure once they hit age 18 and they have to be the adult. If you are in those situations where you can try and help a child with their mental health, do that. Step up, step in, and help. Back to you. Thank you so much for that question.
Thank you. That was fantabulous. We think kids are little beings. What do they have? They go through a lot of pressure, like you said. And thank you for segregating it into different sections, like what happens at the school, how much expectations is imposed on them, and they don't have a space to express it either to their parents or siblings. They also need to find a safe place to express their actual emotions and needs. Thank you, guest Chris, for expressing your thoughts with us. I see Misty raising your hand. Are you ready for a topic?
Yes.
Okay. So your topic is teachers' mental health. Teachers' mental health, Misty.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics. Teachers are under enormous pressure to comply with so many regulations. They have as much work to do in filling out forms and complying with regulations as they do for teaching. Somehow this is a very turned around, backwards system. I think that we need to lighten up the load on the admin portion of teachers' responsibilities so they can do their principal job, which is to teach. I think they also are dealing with a very big challenge in today's time period, because children in many parts of the world, especially in the US, were out of school during COVID, or were trying to complete school online, which has very limited success, at least according to the research that I've seen. So I want to absolutely tell you that teachers are to be enormously respected and admired, and anything that you can do as a parent or someone who's interested in the schools to facilitate the work that they do is tremendously appreciated and will go far to helping children, especially in areas of basic things like reading and writing, so that they can participate in the world that they are coming to live in. Thank you.
Thank you, Misty, for bringing to light that teachers They do a lot of admin work apart from teaching. There is a load of pressure on them to get things done. And sometimes nobody really gives them back the credit. We take so much from the teachers, we shine, but then we don't even go back and thank them for all the dedication and sacrifice they do for us. So it is important to go appreciate the teachers for all that they do. Thank you. And may I now ask for the next volunteer, the timer, Toastmaster Rajat. Okay, let me give you. Um, are you a cricket person?
Yes, I love cricket.
Okay, cricketers' mental health. Cricketers' mental health, Toastmaster Rajat.
Yes, so coming from India, cricket is something religion for us. We all enjoy cricket. We watch cricket, whether it is from, and sometimes the matches like India versus Pakistan or matches like Australia versus New Zealand. These are some high stake matches, and we all enjoy. But when, from the cricketer point of view, you see that cricketers move from one country to another country very quickly. One month they will be playing in India or their domestic country, but another month they will be way out of their continent, from like east to west, somewhere in Australia, somewhere in eastern countries, or sometimes in Australia. So the kind of movement they do from one country to another country, or one city to another city, they have very less time to spend time with their family. And what happens when you involve so much in time with your profession, you would kind of miss things, the small things that we as enjoy when we come back home every day. So that's kind of thing. It doesn't matter how much they love their profession, how much they love playing cricket, but everybody wants to come back home, spend some quiet time with their family, enjoy little things, and these things create pressure. And like cricket, or for that matter, any sports, uh, uh, sports where people feel that pressure when they have to stay away from their families and they cannot sit with their family. So I believe that. Having a fixed time of holiday, making schedule in such a way that they get proper time throughout the year to spend that time with their family, would they can go a long way, not only in improving their performance, but also in improving the team building spirit and the overall cohesion of the team, and definitely for the individual health. So for me, they definitely sports people do feel that lot of pressure, and there are ways to mitigate them. Over to you, to table topping master DTO.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rajat, for bringing to light. Yes, sports people, athletes, they find hard to find time to spend with family, find time for themselves. They travel a lot. They spend predominant time in their profession because few crucial years they make all their fortune. So it's also important for them to take that quiet time with themselves, their family, prioritize their mental health. We now have the entry from Toastmaster Diana for the first topic, women's mental health. Thank you, Toastmasters and Table Topics Master. The women has pretty body, shape different, that function and muscles on whole, that very hard and life, mental health in brain, not right. And I know that mental health, this disability in the environment with COVID-19, about 6 years, and I don't like that COVID-19 of stay inside the home. I felt very bold in my life, struggled hard. Back to you, Table Topics Master Diana. Thank you, Toastmaster Diana, for participating in the table topics and giving your thoughts on women's mental health. Next, I see Toastmaster of the Day raising your hand. Are you ready for a topic?
Hi, actually, I want to say that we've gone a little over time,
Okay.
so I think let's move on to our evaluations.
Okay, back to you, Toastmaster of the Day. Thank you for the opportunity, and over to you.
And I want to thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Priyank, for that table topic session. I think everyone always likes those because they get to participate and think of answers on the spot. And I like how you connected the today's theme to today's topic questions. Let's move on to our evaluations. First, I ask Catherine Apondo, Toastmaster Catherine Apondo, to evaluate her speaker. Please go ahead, Toastmaster Catherine.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, Glamo. Congratulations, Toastmaster Ihoma, for achieving your second level and your second project in your leadership development path. This is what I heard, and this is what I noticed from your delivery. You started us off with a memorable quote. That's a mark of a great speaker. We could relate with the quote, and we could also relate it to your title of your speech, which was Embrace, Empower, and Involve. A clear indication that you had something to say to us that we needed to hear. After you gave us the quote, this was your opening. You asked us a question. You connected with us. You talked about the type of leadership and the impact of our leadership. These questions were pertinent for us to ponder on. And indeed, you said, will you ponder on those questions? After then, you went into the details of giving us what your leadership style is, and you explained many other leadership styles. You also gave us an example of where you as a leader had to apply yourself as a team lead with a project timeline, convening several meetings with several of your colleagues and achieving success. But there's one specific thing that you mentioned. You mentioned in all of this that you were going to take a little bit of each of the many types of leadership styles and make them enrich your leadership style. I loved that you were able to take us on a journey to this kind of a speech. So congratulations. What would I work on, Ihoma? One, I would work on memorizing the speech so that when you deliver it, it is flawless and you are very comfortable. The second thing I would work on, Ihoma, in this particular speech, and I hope that you'll take time to deliver it once again for your benefit, is to refrain from giving us a lot more information on the many leadership styles. Instead, give us the few, one or two or three, and then describe exactly how your experience led you to discovering that you needed a bit of every other style. Then I would also work on improving your lighting. Your lighting is great, but the vocal or the gadgets, I'd suggest to you that you come a little earlier. We test your gadgets, we test the technology to make sure it is flawless. Other than this, I would like to thank you for giving us a powerfully delivered speech, which was titled Embrace, Empower, Evolve. Toastmaster Ihoma, I look forward to hearing many of your speeches. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Catherine, for that evaluation. I always learn, even when you don't evaluate me personally. Let's move on to our second evaluator. Jayati Dutta, please go ahead with your evaluation.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. Toastmaster Stephanie, I was absolutely amazed by you and your son's journey. So inspired. The four shining moments in your speech are: the first one, you asked a question where you engaged the audience. In Pursuit of Happiness, did you see that movie? The protagonist did not give up under any circumstances. I love the way you talked and engaged with the audience. The second one is your personal story. The journey of you and your son. You said you wanted to see your son successful in life. How we could relate. Absolutely wonderful. A personal story helps me in the audience to connect with you. The third point, which I love, is your emotional roller coaster. In your story, you had shifting moments, you had success, and then you had shifting moments again, when it made me go through a gamut of emotions and feelings. Love that. The fourth shining moment was when you include dialogues in your speech. A dialogue increases the interactive part in your speech and also improves your vocal impersonations. This one is to increase the engagement impact of your speech. Here are my 4 teeny points or suggestions, you might say. First one is the characterization of the speech. When you're talking about characters in your speech, name them so that we in the audience can identify with the character. And with your characterization, when you are delivering dialogues, perhaps move, even if you're sitting, move one dialogue on the left and one dialogue on the right, so that we know you are talking here and that person is talking from here. Okay? The second one, which I would like to point out, is you said these lines: we lost horribly. He was ready to give up. If we don't play, we don't win. We lost by just 2 points. Increase your vocal variety. And this is how I might suggest to you: we lost horribly. He was ready to give in, to give up. If we don't play, we don't win. We lost by just 2 points. Come in front of the camera, increase your hand gesture. You will be able to relate to the audience better. The third thing I wanted to tell you, Toastmaster 7, is please get your speech mentored. You had a wonderful introduction, but your content was a little here and there. Which brings me to the last point, is your message. Perhaps you can think of bringing in a more impactful message. Perhaps you say, perseverance, my friends, is falling 19 times and succeeding the 20th time. So never ever give up. Toastmaster Stephen, with your lovely, beautiful points of audience engagement, personal story, emotional roller coaster, and wonderful dialogues. If you could also take care of characterization, vocal variety, mentoring your speech, and give an impactful message, I think you are on your way of not only becoming a good, but a great speaker. Toastmaster Stephen, in these crazy things called speeches, seek it, nurture it, and please strike again. I wish you all the very best in all your future endeavors. Thank you so much for accepting me as your evaluator. I wish you all the best once again, and over to you, Toastmaster of the day. Sorry.
Thank you, Jayati, for that insightful evaluation. Now let's please go on to our next evaluator, Chris Poole. Please go on and evaluate your speaker.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Well done tonight. Thank you so much for reaching out, asking me to evaluate you. I love that you started out giving that brief explanation of what art is. Art is a skill, and for some people it is natural. They seem to be born with it, and for others that they need to work on developing this as a skill. And I think that's partly where it comes in for with your speech, with that information. I thought several of your strengths were with your voice. You have a very smooth, solid, and trusting voice that comes across well online. Your pacing was fantastic. You paused very well between different slides. So you let us have just that brief extra moment in order to take in what you were commenting about. I did not feel rushed as you were going through the presentation. A couple of areas for improvement. So one of the things that you asked me to look for was the design and content of your slides. I don't think you overdid any of the text or information, which I've seen some people do. I actually just heard a presentation, or my husband was telling me that a presentation he saw at work, the guy had 30 bullet points on one slide. And then it just got worse from there. So I do appreciate that you had minimum information on each slide, but what you had on each slide was effective. The area for improvement, however, when you were on the screen with those slides, so you're positioned in that lower right corner of your screen, sometimes your head was covering a little bit of the picture or the text, and on the right hand or the left hand side of your screen, you had a very wide margin. Shift all of your text, all of your pictures more towards the left side of the screen. That way, then there's not as much opportunity or chance that you would be covering that information. Your eye contact was varied. It seemed that you were looking a little bit down and to your right, so you may have possibly been using notes as you were talking, which is absolutely fine. But then you, at some point, you had shifted when you were looking at a different screen, maybe of getting when you're talking about one of the quotes from Gail Porter. When you were reading that quote, it seemed that you were looking straight into the camera at us for that one, and then you ventured off with your eye contact again. Take a look at your workspace. Is there a way to organize it so that you are looking more into that camera lens at more during your speech? As you are kind of looking around, it does feel like you're making eye contact with the audience. Cheat that I have heard is to take a sheet of paper and just literally make a hole in that paper and put it around your camera lens. So now your eye is drawn towards where that camera lens is located. That's one tip to improve your eye contact. My challenge to you is twofold. One is turn this into a full hour-long keynote session. I think you would definitely do well with that one. And then the other one is just more of a technical issue. When you have that slide of where are they now with all of those company names, as you're listing and saying each name, have each one pop up one at a time on your screen. I think that could have a little bit more of an impact as you're talking on that. Well done. I am so glad that I was able to evaluate you on this first speech, and I look forward to the next one. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Chris Poole, for that evaluation. I now ask another distinguished Toastmaster, Ricky Su, to please evaluate distinguished Toastmaster Priyang's table topics. Please go on.
Yes, thank you to DTM Priyang as well for your table topics. I appreciate all the topics related to mental health. They are so relevant, so eye-opening. First of all, I like that you, at the start of your session, you have tried to confirm with the audience whether you are audible and visible or not. Please ensure there is no communication barriers between you and the audience. And that is also another way to assure the audience are listening to you. And throughout the speech, I have tried to take note, and I've noticed that you have paid attention during the speaker's speeches. You have been listening. I can see that because of your eye contact, you were not doing anything else. You were not distracted. You were focused on their speeches. And then after each of their speeches, I heard that you have given your brief, positive, and affirming statements to acknowledge them, to thank them, and to encourage them. For example, after Misty's speech, you thank her and you summarize the situation faced by the teacher. You show yourself being empathic, being able to empathize with the situation of the teachers. And after Rajat's speech, you echoed with what he said and talked about finding time with the family. I also like it that after Diana has written out her sharing in the chat, you have read it out for all of us. You have thanked her and acknowledged her for what she said, what she shared. And that leads me to the first idea for and to enhance your performance even to the next level. That is, maybe in the case of Diana, you might want to bring your level of encouragement to the next level by sharing a longer reply. For example, thank you, Diana, for sharing your thoughts and experiences. Your courage in facing life challenges are truly inspiring. You're not alone. Let's do it together, or something like that. And the second idea for enhancement is that initially, I noticed that when some of the members raised their hand, for example, Diana raised her hand, Misty raised her hand, it was not seen initially. There was a little delay between the time they raised their hand and the time you acknowledged them and responded to them. But later on, when Rajat raised his hand, you saw him immediately, and that was fine later on. Last but not least, if time allows at the end, I know time was running out, but if time allows at the end, you could make a little summary for the session and thank all the speakers and encourage the speakers to go on speaking for the benefit of the audience. So in closing, I feel after the session, the speakers have been encouraged by your statements. The audience could find the relevance in your table topics, and the meeting has been going smoothly because you have been connecting the dots together. With my ideas of enhancement, I hope to see you in the next table topic session, and I would love to try your table topics as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Ricky Su, for evaluating our table topics master. I really appreciate it. To everyone, from the bottom of my heart, I really like this meeting, especially the keynote in which I think we tackled some topics that matter to everyone, and I think we all learned something about them. I now hand over the stage to our president for the closing address, and I thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And we please give a warm applause to Guillermo for leading a very successful Toastmasters meeting. Thank you, Guillermo, for taking us on a journey of introspection and connecting with one another. I feel like we're connected. I feel like we just love one another much more. This was a phenomenal meeting. I'm going to ask you, Toastmasters and guests, if you will kindly challenge yourself. When this meeting has been recorded and the recording is shared, kindly share it as much as you can on your socials and with your families so that people, you and I, can learn a lot, not just from the keynote speeches, but also from the lessons from speakers, from Toastmasters, but also from Toastmasters for Professionals. This, I think, is one of the clubs that I feel is very important for people to hear from, and also to get to know us, to get to know one another. I feel like this is the Toastmaster I would like to have on a club meeting like this one. This is the table topic speaker I would like to have. These are kind of speakers, evaluators, the stories, the experiences. I think it has been one of the most fulfilling meetings we have had. I would like to remind us, club members and guests, if you are joining us, if you choose to join Toastmasters for Professionals, we're still looking out for a president for this club. And I make this announcement to invite you to nominate and to let us know who you'd like to be your president for this club. We need a president. And so I'm asking you to please go ahead and nominate somebody. Do that, reach out to any of us. If you would like to become a member of the club, please reach out to our Vice President membership, Toastmaster. She has backup, and he has all the information to help you start your journey as a member of Toastmasters for Professionals. I would like to once again thank the club officers in this club who make this club look good, starting with our Vice President Public Relations, our Vice President Education, and Vice President Membership. I would like to thank you for your selfless service to this club. Thank you very much, Toastmasters and guests. And now I close the meeting and open it up to networking.